It has been a year, and a Georgia family still wants to know why Dekalb County police shot and killed their beloved son and brother. Matthew Zadok Williams was gunned down in his own home after someone called police reporting him as suspicious. When police arrived, Williams panicked, went into a mental health crisis, and locked himself in his home. The police asked him to leave. The police then kicked at Williams' door several times before shooting. Now, the video we're about to play is certainly triggering to a lot of different people, so we want you to give you an opportunity to turn away, to walk out of the room, or shield it from your children. As we often do with these videos. And so let's go ahead and play it now.
Sir, let us see hands. Put the knife down!
Put the knife down!
Put the knife down!
Put the knife down!
Put the knife down! Put the knife
Put
down!
the knife down!
This is your last warning! Put the knife down! Got this. Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
You go upstairs.
Put the knife down!
Too many people right here. Too many people right here.
Back away. Right here. Sir, put the knife down. My property, sir. Put the knife. Come out and talk to me then.
Hey, I'm about to go see them.
Okay, defend my property. Come out and talk to us.
Put the knife down, man.
Out and defending my property.
Put the knife
Put the knife down. You ain't got to defend
down.
nothing. Sir, you broke into my property, sir. Sir.
Put the knife down, man. Just put the knife.
Just put the knife down.
121 radio. Do you have a 10-2?
41, 10-3.
Got it. Sir. Yeah, move.
He's still back there.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna back off with you. We're gonna back off.
The bullets that killed Williams came from Sergeant Devon Perry's gun. Williams was not rendered aid for more than an hour and a half. The medical examiners says Williams died a slow, painful death. We're joined now by Matthew Williams' mother, Chris Ann Lewis, his sisters Hahnah and Dr. Buelah Williams, as well as attorney Buelah Davis from Atlanta. So I need to understand what I just saw. So someone called police because they say he was acting suspicious. Who called police, and how do they define suspicious? What? Was he walking around his own front yard? Was he with a knife? Was he yelling, screaming? What was suspicious?
Well, Roland, that's the question. It was a white woman who was new to the area and did not acknowledge that he lived there. In fact, she said that he didn't live there, which was completely false. He had been a homeowner and owned that home since 2009. And so this white woman says that he was squatting, trespassing, and that led to this crazed police action. But it's this misinformation which sent the police down the entirely wrong track. And that's why the law enforcement officers should not have just believed what she said without doing their own due diligence. And it's unfortunate that we're here. But that's the quote unquote suspicious activity, is that he was locked out of his home. He had a plumber's knife trying to re-enter his home, and that was it.
Is that true? Was he locked out of his home?
Correct. He was locked out of his own home. He had a plumber's knife. We believe he was doing some repairs on his home, and that's when police approached him, and he's on his own porch. But because this woman says that he did not live there, then they treat him as a trespasser versus treating him as a homeowner.
Okay. What? So, Chris Ann, Hahnah, and Dr. Buelah, had your son, your brother, Had he had mental episodes before? What was described here is that he panicked. What was his history when it came to mental issues, or was this simply an isolated incident?
So my brother, and first of all, thank you for having us on the show. We appreciate that. My brother, from what we know about his mental health, is that a couple of years, maybe around end of 2018 or so, he was robbed at gunpoint at a convenience store by his home. Since then, he progressively got to the point where he didn't want to leave his house. We didn't understand why. We could not figure it out. It got particularly concerning in 2019.
Now, when you say I'm sorry. When you say we couldn't figure it out, were you aware that he had been robbed?
Yes, we knew that.
Got it.
But his girlfriend told us that he had been robbed, and from that point, it was a progression of him not leaving the house. And then after that's a traumatic experience. And we often have seen that when women have been sexually assaulted and there's fear of going jogging or leaving their home as well. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Yeah, so, starting in 2019, it just got a little bit worse, where it was the point where he was only coming out of his house for maybe 3 seasons, and that was to get his mail, take out his trash, or work on his plumbing. When 2020 came, pandemic's here, nobody's leaving the house. So it became less of a concern for us as a family to try to figure out what was going on. The entire time we're in close communication with my brother. Somebody sees him at least on a weekly basis. We bring him food. We talk to him on the phone all the time. We have a family chat line. We still are in relationship with my brother, but we could not figure out why it was that he didn't want to come out the house. And as a family, we just didn't know what that was. We tried to figure it out, but we couldn't. My brother was very highly intelligent. He was also, just a person that would not allow, a lot of questions from his sisters. He had 5 older sisters. He's a baby brother, so I just couldn't put him, on the witness stand and interrogate him about anything, So it wasn't as if, he would answer our questions, but he had normal conversation with him. We were in a relationship with him. We knew something was going on. We just couldn't figure out what it was. But what happened on April the 12th, as far as his mental health crisis outside, he had never seen anything like that before.
So so in watching the video, obviously the officers are trying to communicate with him, and they're trying to get him to come out of the home. You hear them say on numerous occasions for him to drop the knife, and I wouldn't be surprised if the reaction from the police department has been, look, they did their job. They tried to get him to come out and talk to establish who he was. But what this still goes to, and I say this all the time, Chris Ann, is that police are simply incapable of handling situations when there's mental illness involved. Their reaction is to shoot to kill. Mm-hmm. And this is when people have been talking about defund the police. Part of this discussion has been to shift resources away from just police departments and then send mental health professionals to be able to reduce the situation, the tensions, because here's the reality. They could have sat there for 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. There was no need to shoot to kill.
There was no need to shoot in the first place. There was nothing that my brother did to deserve those shots to be fired into his home.
And Roland,
DeKalb County has a mental health policy, as Molly can explain to you. DeKalb County has a mental health policy. That's the first of 4 policies that they broke. They should have notified whoever is under whatever their procedure is. They should have followed their own mental health policy, and my son would be alive today.
So the county has one, meaning those officers could have pulled back, made a phone call, gotten a mental health professional out there
to help diffuse the situation, and they didn't.
Roland, it wasn't that it wasn't just a question of should they were required to. That's what people are missing. They were required, once he was in his home, barricaded in his home, and he was not coming out, they were required to contact SWAT and a negotiator and then contact the family. That's per DeKalb County regulations. They violated their own regulations by deciding that they just are going to kick the door in when there's no threat to them. He's behind a closed door.
Right.
They're on the other side of the door. And they decide we're going to just kick the door in and start shooting. And that's totally inconsistent.
And that's what I saw with the video there, in that he's behind the door. They're saying drop the knife. And again, it reminds me of the, first of all, there's so many other cases, but it reminds me of the Kojima Powell case in St. Louis, where mentally disturbed, he had like a butter knife. Cops come on the scene, and it's literally 16 seconds from the door opening to 7 shots fired, killing him, where he sort of flexes at the cops, and they immediately fire. They literally could have retreated behind the car. I mean, he did not have to be killed. Or the young man in Dallas whose black mom called the cops, and the young man was playing with the screwdriver. He was not even charging the cops, and within 20 seconds, he's dead. And so, I mean, this sort of goes on and on and on, and these officers are simply incapable of dealing with this situation. And if you're sitting, he's behind a closed door, and you say a knife, he's not firing at you, so your life is not in danger.
Correct. That's exactly it. That's been our point.
Go to my panel, DeMario. Question, comment?
Man, I'm just so sorry for this loss for your son. This was ridiculous. I just filed a case just today here in Tulsa with a similar situation with a client. Unfortunately, she was not killed. There was no reason, as your lawyer has already stated, there's no urgency here. Your son was not posing a threat. There's absolutely no reasons for those officers to be doing what they were doing. And their tactics was so terrible. They're standing in front of each other with guns out. I mean, everything about this is ridiculous. They should all have been fired and actually prosecuted. Where are you in the stage of the case? Have you filed a case yet? What is the DA saying there? This is ridiculous. And before you answer that question, I think this also highlights the point. It's not about skin color. Everybody say, oh, we need more black officers. The officers I saw in that video were both black. But it's the culture of the police departments that they have no accountability and they can do what they want.
We've lost your attorney, but if y'all could go ahead and comment on the state of the case, please.
I'm an attorney as well, and I'm his sister. But yes, I love everything that you just said. As far as the status of the case, the DA has had the file since July, the GBI file, and she has yet to make a decision. The latest comment we got from her office is that she's close. She's still investigating. So it's been a year. There's been no decision. The DA has not made a decision, or rather, she's bringing charges for now. This is the Sherry Hall said in Dekalb County. As far as the administrative investigation, the CEO Thurman's office, the officers are still working. They have not even been placed on administrative leave. We've had a meeting with CEO Mike Thurman and asked that these officers be put on administrative leave or fired. Body proves that these officers violated 4 policies when they killed my brother and left him to die. Yet they are still walking feet and they are still working in uniform and have not been disciplined. So that's the status of the case right now.
And the thing that bothers me most is, although there are 4 policies that they didn't follow: failure to activate mental health, failure to activate SWAT, use of excessive force, but the worst is when they refuse to render care. My son died from a non-fatal gunshot wound to the shoulder. Slow, agonizing death. My daughter can speak to this. You?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Of all the policies that were violated.
We can't hear you, so speak up, please.
Of all the policies that were violated, that's the one policy that just really sticks with us. The fact that after they fired those last shots, you could hear Officer Perry say, "We're going to back down now," and he just walked away. Those shots were fired at close range. So they had time to then regroup and just think about him as a person, that, just think about his life. That they walked away, and there was an EMS professional on scene who offered his help, and he was turned away. So we just can't get over that. It's just disgusting.
It's disgusting, and then your lawyer knows this. It's not just the 4 policies they broke, but it's unconstitutional policing. That is disastrous. It's outrageous. I'm so sorry you guys are going through that. I hope that you can get that DA to move. She's just sitting on this. The decision is clear, and I hope you can get this case moving when you get it filed, and you can get everything that you can from it. But I understand, because I do these cases every single day. Nothing can bring your son back. That was a horrendous shooting, and my heart just goes out to you. And I'm glad you have competent counsel to do this.
Thank you. Thank you.
The case that you have filed, obviously you're waiting on the DA to make a decision, but for your attorney, what is the status of your case? Have you filed that case?
No.
Go ahead.
No, we haven't filed. We have the way it works in Georgia is they will not release any of the files. We were able to, because of the diligence of this family and the community outrage, we were able to get the police to release the body cam footage, which is really unheard of in Georgia. It just doesn't happen in Georgia. It's very different from most jurisdictions around the country. But what they won't release is the entire GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation report. And so we have really focused our energy with this family on hoping that this district attorney will prosecute the case. Once that decision is made and they release the file, then we'll file a civil litigation and move forward with the constitutional violations that these officers perpetrated against Mr. Williams.
All right. Certainly keep us abreast of what happens next in this case. Indeed, it is sad. Thank you so very much. And again, we're sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Mustafa, the thing that we constantly say on this show is, again, how are police departments not realizing now you cannot handle mental health issues with guns? Too many people. We've seen case after case. Folks are dead because cops fired on them having a mental health breakdown.
They still don't see us as human, and that's the problem. That means that we never get the benefit of the doubt. They always go to the most dangerous way of dealing with us. There are examples of how some police departments have been forced to change. In Denver, there's a STAR program that's there, where they make sure they have the mental health practitioners who are part of it. I think over the last year, there was about 1,300 calls that came in, and because those individuals were the ones who were engaging, no lives were lost, no assaults, and actually folks weren't even arrested because they gave folks space that was necessary to be able to, walk them through and talk them through the situations that were going on. It's unfortunate that the folks there in Georgia didn't follow the precedent that they have in place, or the policy they have in place, and that brother would still be with us. But it goes down to they just don't value our lives. And when they don't value our lives, these are the types of things that play out each and every time.
Teresa.
Yeah, it's truly a disgrace. Here in Philly, we actually had a similar situation about a year ago. And, it's like we keep advocating for training. We keep advocating, for cops to do their job as they're asking for increased funding. And it's like these things are happening. So, again, I'm going to go back to my point about how we need to look at leadership that it has been entrenched in the police department. It looks like when police chiefs are in there, they've had over 30 and 40 years of experience, but sometimes their traditions are not allowing them to change their ways of how they govern their police department. And so if they think things are just going to stay as usual, and they think it's just politics of, what people are saying in those communities when their families are dying, then we're going to keep having these situations. That's why, again, going back to your point, Roland, about why voting matters, district attorneys matter, police commissioners matter, elected officials matter. But we have to start asking them questions when they are running on this progressive agenda, because progressive agenda sometimes isn't always right? But we got to do something. So, we got to go back to the point of being aware, being humane about individuals and people, and not just about the badge.
Indeed. So it just keeps happening. And again, at some point, people are going to learn. In this case, they literally didn't even follow their own procedures. Procedures were put in place to prevent this very thing. Cops didn't follow it. I don't understand how they still have a job. Makes no sense to me. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?